As the sun sets again here in Montana, I've been waiting for quite some time to resolve. Let me go through the history of this. Behringer, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if they are sliding into the abyss or what, but I've heard marginal things in the past about their treatment of service centers, but in this case it's just over the top absurd. A guy that brought in a amplifier back in April of 2010, it took them better part of a year to get him an amplifier. Finally, they had promised parts, kept saying, we will have them in the mail by this week. We're scrapping a unit out. Just lied to me, and never called me back. And then they had the gall to say, I believe it was Leanne said, we never don't return phone calls. That was the exact wording, as I recall. Reminds me of something about, anyway, but okay, so what do we do, Lord? They were going to change their payment method anyway along the way when I started submitting my claims finally for this stuff, thinking the guy had an app. Somebody told me he already had an app, and then I found out from him that no, he didn't have any app, and so we had to get that expedited, and I think he finally got his app. I put a call into him to make sure, but the thing couldn't be repaired. It had an intermittency, and it took me a couple hours to try putting a relay in and to troubleshoot the thing, and fail. It still had some issue where it would intermittently start to jitter and signal would cut out. It was one of those things, and it's an expensive amp that was worth trying, but it didn't work out. Anyway, they were going to send the whole board to replace. They never sent it. Couldn't find a part, like as though it were even that involved of a part, but they should have stock of stuff like that, you would think. An input board where, you know, pots get sheared off and stuff. The no-brainer kind of thing to have available to service centers so they don't have to do large amounts of work on a fairly cheap board with just pots and relays on it. Okay, anyway, all that aside, we spent so much time on this particular one. I was going to invoice them $111, including a relay I got, a few things trying to fix it, and failing, and then sending back. There was shipment of sending back the other amp to them, as I recall, in that pretty conservative amount of money considering the amount of time I spent, especially on the phone being lied to, which is one of my least favorite ways to spend time. I like producing things. I don't like just sitting around the phone with somebody who's not telling me the truth. Anyway, so Mr. De Jong finally gets an amplifier after about a year. I don't know how long it took. It was over 9 months. And boy, how people can stretch things out. Anyway, so then I tried to get paid, and they were changing the payment method, and they were supposed to get my bank info, and I don't want to get my bank info. The Chinese in particular asked if we couldn't just finish this one sending a check to me, and they didn't get back to me on that, and then on and on it went. I had to do a trip in there somewhere. Anyway, it wound up being I mean, now, what is it? It's August, and I just got this the other day. That's how concerned they are about paying their service centers. So if you're about to think of being a Behringer service center, think again, first of all. Now, I would like to pull this video down eventually if they make things right, but right now, they sent out these checks finally, which I hope don't bounce again. The first time they only sent me for the $147 on 3 other charges. They did not send anything for the De Jong because they had sent that to somebody's desk for evaluation. They're completely disconnected in there, and it's hard to know who is doing what at any given time because they don't communicate apparently. So anyway, we take this check to the bank the other day, Friday, whenever I got it in there, Thursday or Friday, and hopefully it doesn't bounce again. But I'm still out the fees on the previous one. They haven't sent anything for that. So if they'd like this down, they can pay those fees. And now my production time in this, I told them, I'm not talking to you again. If you screw up again, I'm sorry. So here's the video. After a year and 3 months or whatever, it just is unbelievable to me that people, if it was 2 months out, you'd be like, throw everything else aside and prioritize this and get it done if it takes our whole company's resources to do it. You know, you don't let things slide like that. It's just ridiculous when all it involves is writing a check. How they would bounce a check when they're that big of a corporation is amazing to me, and I don't want to hear the details on it. They try to tell the details to me, and I don't want to hear it because I don't know anything about that stuff. I fix equipment, and all I know is when I write people's check, it doesn't bounce, even though, you know, I've got much less resource to work with than them, I hope. But anyway, there's the bounce, and there's a word to service centers who might consider taking on Behringer, and to current service centers who might be concerned that they are doing work for nothing and will never get paid for it. And I hope that they make this right, and that we have complete payment for all the time I've poured into this, including the time it took to make this video and to post it to YouTube. And I told them this is not going to be good, but they won't listen. They don't understand that it's going to cost them a lot more money than what they owe me now. I don't know. I would have taken $30 or $40, but now you get a video out of it. Behringer. Yeah. I sent them an email several days ago saying I never got anything, and they just ignored it. So here's the video.